Thanks for staying with us, everyone. Time to turn our attention to hockey now. Fair bit happening in hockey here in South Australia. The championship's not too far away. We've been fortunate. The coach of the Suns, the women's team, Darren Nimke, has been able to join us. Darren, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, the championship's about 3 months away now. You were in Brisbane 2014.
Correct.
This year we're in Sydney for the women. What areas do we need to improve in?
Well, last year, quite a few areas, obviously. Each year you want to improve, but last year, probably our penalty corners were a real weakness for us, so that's something we'll focus on heavily through the prep. But, having a look at the other teams last year, it was really clear that you've got to have a midfield that's strong and able to really take the game on in the middle, so I think that's another focus area for us this year.
The biggest opposition will come from?
Typically Queensland and New South, they're stacked full of Australian players and really top quality athletes. So yeah, they'll put up a lot of competition for us.
3 months away, as Phil said, but then you get to competition time. It's a condensed little competition, so it's a big build-up, and the result is determined very quickly. So there's a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, it's a cutthroat week. You've nailed it. I mean, you get there and, a day later you're playing your first game, but then 3 days later your fate's determined.
Yeah.
You have 2 pools of 4, and then after the first 3 games you split into a top 4 and a bottom 4. Mm-hmm. So, cutthroat.
But I think that sort of pressure helps you identify what players are able to rise to the occasion, whatever sport you play, but in that pressure cooker situation, you'll find a bit more about players.
Absolutely. I think one of the challenges for us is how we prepare for a tournament like that.
Yeah.
We have 4 of our prime athletes with the Hockeyroos in Perth. So, creating that kind of intensity at training and, having the depth of players that can help you compete and prepare for those first few days is a real challenge for us. When
you talk that you've got the 4 Hockeyroos in your team, the expectation obviously rises fairly quickly. Young kids up and coming, any that have impressed you? Yeah, we've got a number of young players. A lot of them have actually had a lot of exposure at a very young age. So we've got a number of probably 3 or 4 girls who'll play in the under-21s and work with Sassy. They've shown themselves at a number of tournaments that they can compete at that level.
And I'm always interested to see how selfless a player can be, because obviously performing at this level means that on a national scale they're identified. But they have to find that balance about being selfless for their team and yet showing what they're capable of. And how do you manage that?
Yeah, well, the expectation for the athletes, for some of them it's that 1 week where they have to really shine on centre stage. But as you know, it's a team sport. So to get the best out of yourself, you've got to be selfless. So yeah, it's all part of the game plan.
A lot of the national leagues are over a weekend, over a 13-weekend period or a 26-weekend. Yours is condensed to a week. Now, the Olympic coaches would say they love that because that's the perfect preparation for them, tournament-like, Olympic type. Yeah. For you as a coach, which one would you prefer?
It's a hard call. I mean,
you are guaranteed a job for 26 weeks. The other one.
Yeah, that's right. It's a hard call. I mean, I guess it's horses for courses. You prepare for whatever's put in front of you. So, I mean, I quite like the cutthroat, 1 or 2 week tournament where, it's how you manage people through that. I think managing people through 26 weeks, like a normal season, has its own challenges.
Mm-hmm. It's really difficult to get to players, and they talk about peaks and troughs or valleys, whatever term you want to put on it, over the course of a week, about being consistent in every game. How difficult do you find that to get that message to the players? So we don't want you to get up to play New South Wales and then have a shocker against Northern Territory. We need that consistency. So how do you find that message getting through?
Yeah, it's about repeat messages and that comes from how you've prepared, and you're not changing the game plan every game. You might try something a bit different against a match-up against a specific team, but largely it's just about execution of repeat messages, things you've practiced for the lead up.
Mm-hmm. And in comparison this year to previous years, how are we depth-wise, expectation-wise? You'd go into a tournament like this with some expectation. What are yours?
Absolutely. I would expect that we should make the top 4 this year. Mm-hmm. So that's the expectation I'll be putting on the group. Mm-hmm. We had a pretty disrupted prep last year in that 2 weeks out from the tournament, we lost Jane Claxton through injury. We didn't have Georgie Parker, who had surgery earlier in the year, and we lost 2 world-class New Zealand import girls a week before the tournament. So a lot of our prep was thrown into disarray. I think this year, we're looking to pick we've got a much deeper squad of local girls. So, I think we can prepare well and have all hands on deck when we get to Sydney.
You wear a couple of hats, obviously coaching the Suns, and of course you're coaching Seacliff women's team.
Yep.
Do you find it difficult to get the players when you want them for training with the Suns? Some of the club teams want to keep them there preparing for something. How's that work?
Yeah, I guess I know a lot of the coaches pretty well, and you've got to be flexible. You've got to think of the athlete and just get the balanced approach to club needs versus whether it's state or SASI needs, high performance needs. But obviously the athletes have got lives as well, so trying to get that balance right.
Yeah, and if you do, and if you have got the support of everything below you, the sport as a whole benefits. They just got to believe in where you're going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you feel as though you've got that support?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of the people in the support networks. Tim White, the SASI hockey head coach. We've worked together for a number of years. All the club coaches, we talk regularly. So, yeah, it's a good network there.
All right, you're in the Premier League coaching the Seacliff women. You were the men before that, third year in the job. Difference between men and women in hockey, and not the obvious. Work ethic, similar or different?
It's like these days, women's hockey has really come ahead. A lot of the physicality, the skill execution, overheads, tomahawks, it's all there. So, probably just a bit of the speed and physicality, but it's very enjoyable to coach.
I'm fascinated by the endurance of them. I mean, watching the sport, the way they put themselves into the game, there is no downtime for them. There is absolutely no downtime, and the preparation that must go into that in comparison to, say, an AFL footy season. What sort of pre-season would they put in?
Yeah, a lot of aerobic running, repeat sprint style work. We use the bench a lot like modern football, just to keep high pace in the games and so forth. So, yeah, just keeping that aerobic energy up.
Your predictions for your team in the Premier League?
Well, we're in the top four at the moment.
Sitting in third spot.
Yeah, first time for about 5 or 6 years for my girls. So, yeah, we're sitting nicely, but it's very tight. There's probably only a game between second and fifth. Port Adelaide are a fair way out in front. They're the ones that we have to catch. I think it'll come right down to the last game of the season. So, our girls are excited to be where they are. They're playing good hockey. So, yeah.
All right, well, Darren, not too far away, early October, of course, the National Championship start. We wish you and the Suns all the best in that. Yeah. And, of course, with Seacliff, we'll watch with interest whether you can get over Port Adelaide. Time for us to go to a break. Back with more in a moment.